Hello, my name is Simone Watson, and I'm a graduating senior at Spelman College with a double major in International Studies and Spanish from Richmond, VA. This episode is the part of the Community Responsive Reporting Project, which is sponsored by the Andrew Young Fellowship Program. My current research lies in the area of hip hop and hip hop culture and how its transnational circulation has implications on underrepresented groups within the United States. Today, I'm here with L.A. Trotter, and I have the pleasure of meeting with him again. We grew up together, and we've done a couple projects together, which has been very, very cool for me. You're like kind of my introduction into the creator space, just because we did grow up together. He is the founder of Trot Media. He is a former A&R, as well as the founder of the brand Habit of Concern. And he's responsible for producing projects such as Richmond Roulette and Chopped and Screwed with Trot Media. He currently is a creative director at the Collective Gallery, and also he does go to Morehouse. He is a graduating senior at Morehouse this year, so congrats for that. So you have done and continue to do a lot of work in the music and media industry. Can you tell us a little more about your previous or current work in the music industry?
It pretty much really started when I was in 18, 19, kind of coming home from COVID during quarantine. I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I was coming back from North Carolina Central University. I was running track, and for so long that was my identity, just being an athlete. But I realized that I had a love for music and a love for kind of just creativity in general, and I was always a creative kind of guy coming up. So I really wanted a career or just a focus at that time that centered around that while I had some time to kind of figure out what I wanted to do. So I ended up connecting with an A&R, Brian Trotter. But long story short, I ended up going to New York and meeting him. And then on that trip, I met Nigel Mack, who was Kid Cudi's A&R. And at the time, I think he was VP of A&R at Motown or Republic. Yeah, Republic. And then from there, I kind of like wanted to follow in his footsteps. So he ended up getting me positions and being able to work within Sony Music, doing marketing work, and then that kind of transitioned to him having his own independent label, Drink Some Water, where I did A&R work and creative work, and just brought a lot of people on, and yeah, from there it kind of just sprouted. Within that, it was like, and all in between that, it was like Trot Media and Richmond Roulette that we can kind of touch on, but I think that's like the kind of long story short, to where it's like it started with a DM, and then I ended up working with Sony Music and all these artists that I always looked up to.
And since you mentioned Richmond Roulette, which is like one of my favorite things that I wanted to hit on today, can you just tell our audience a little bit more about what Richmond Roulette was or is, and if you want to continue to do projects like that?
Yeah. So Richmond Roulette was a project that I wanted to do. It was like a passion project at the time. I had a lot of friends that were artists, and I had a lot of people kind of in Richmond, in the Richmond, Virginia scene, that I just knew were so talented. And I was like, yo, I would love to kind of put all these guys into the same room and really, give them the platform to showcase their ability, and give them the distribution and kind of do a documentary and everything for it. So, I mean, everything I said I wanted to do, I ended up doing it to where we locked in the studio for like, I want to say it was like 3-4 days straight. And then we recorded, it was like 5 or 6 different artists, and recorded, and I just directed the documentary as well. I A&R'd the project, and produced the whole thing, to where it was like, that was really like the catalyst for everything creative that I wanted to do. But it all started just from like me wanting to give my friends an opportunity to showcase their ability. But I do want to do more projects like that, and I think I'm in the process of doing that.
Okay.
And then also like
here or back home?
I want to do it. I want to do one here, but I would really love to do one back home to kind of, it's just only right, it's only right for me to do that and kind of represent and, be that beacon of light to those people in those communities because of the experiences that I did gain. So, yeah. And I also want to say thank you to everybody that was involved in that project.
I feel like personally you were creating a safe space for like Black men, especially Black male artists that don't necessarily have the space within the music industry, but to express themselves and to talk about narratives that we don't generally see in the music industry.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you were doing that? If you
I-
don't, do you feel like that now? Have you reflected on it in that sense?
At the time, I wasn't thinking like that, but now that we kind of sat down and we discussed it, and I kind of saw the ramifications from it, or just kind of everything that happened on the tail end, and just seeing how that's grown for so many people, or like, the influence that I had in the city or for those artists. I definitely do think I was doing that. And I feel like we're not represented in those areas because somebody at the top thinks that only street stuff is going to sell, or only, this one genre or this one kind of subgenre of rap, of gangster rap or anything like, or drill is the only thing that we're making or doing. And that's not true. There's so many examples now to where it's like we all have different sounds. Even when we look at stuff like drill or anything like that, it's like that's still very authentic to us. That's just not the only thing that we do though, and it's great, but we can be represented in a lot more areas.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I think that a lot of narratives that are promoted are important, but I think that sometimes they can get taken out of context when they leave our community, and that's why I think it's important just to make sure that we have people around us that are promoting those narratives in a way that is, I would say, careful, and considerate of how it can be taken out of context. But based on our conversation today, I think that you've definitely highlighted the importance of, or just the issue of underrepresentation in the music industry, and how you've kind of tried to combat that yourself within all that you've done in the media space and in the marketing space, as well as in the music industry. And I think that you've also highlighted how important it is to make sure that you're building relationships with the people that look like you, and just creating and collaborating, and just cultivating artistic community. So I just want to thank you for our conversation today, and just bringing a little bit more light on all of those issues, and I guess solutions to those issues as well.
Thank you, honestly. I think this is a very heavy topic. I feel like this is a topic that we need to have a lot more. So I definitely appreciate you for bringing this to the light, and, speaking with people, in our community about these subjects.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching this episode of the Community Responsive Reporting Project. We hope that this conversation shed some light on the issue of underrepresentation of Black voices and Black faces within the music industry, and how creating artistic community can function as a viable solution to that issue.